All right,
That
just so
sounds
you
good to me.
guys know, I am completely and utterly I'm on a CC's high right now. I just had so much fucking CC's pizza. I feel good about myself.
Hunter's not here, by the way.
Oh, wait, how do you know he's not here?
He said while you were deafened, he said he would be right back.
Oh, that son of a bitch. That's why I come to his house and eat his food. Well, I kind of want to wait for him to be here before I go live, so at least he knows I'm live. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter, huh?
Either way.
Yeah, well, I just want to say fuck you, Hunter. Welcome, guys, to the Force Unscripted. May the Force be with you. It's your boy, Nikita, here, back with the second episode of our second season, episode 10. And today is very special indeed, because we have an amazing guest with us today. He goes by RampageReviews, and if you check out his YouTube channel, he does amazing reviews over the Star Wars books. And you guys know I'm a big fan of books. Winchi is also a big fan of the Star Wars novels too. But Rampage excels. He's doing them in chronological order, right, Rampage?
Yep, that's right. I'm still early on in the pathway here, but yeah, I'm meshing Legends and canon chronologically, like along the timeline that's defined in both Legends and canon timelines. So, and then talk about how if those things can mesh, if it were needed to, if they're going to pull from Legends, so that kind of thing.
You know what? I had never thought about doing the books like that. I'm about myself. I'm about 90% done with Legends, and I told myself, I was like, I'm not going to read a single canon book until I finish everything in this timeline that's never getting anything else added to it. And so that's my take on it. But I had never thought about that like point of view of like seeing, like if the timelines like mesh at all in between. That's pretty cool. Have you been enjoying it so far?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I put out a tweet not that long ago where I just said, if you give it time, like there's so much source material that Disney could pull from the Legends timeline, and they already have in some instances, like I mean, whether they parodied something or pulled something directly from it, and just very few things. But like, if you give it enough time, they have so much source material, they'll probably end up pulling a lot more. And there's so much to pull. Like, I mean, and there's some, like we were going to talk about Darth Bane today. Like, Darth Bane, the character, is canon, but none of his backstory that's in that trilogy that came out a while back is considered canon. But you could easily make that whole trilogy canon. It takes place so far away from anything that's significant in the Skywalker saga anyway. And I'm a huge fan of the Legends timeline anyway, or when it used to be called the Expanded Universe. Like I just don't see why I can't separate the two personally, just because I like all the content and I want to see all the content come together. That's what I want to see.
See, I am of that same train of thought. I would love to see it, but they've already like spat in my face on that with the sequel trilogy. So I don't think I can ever fully forgive them. I can forget. I can't forgive.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And like I was on that boat for like a few years after the movies came out, like and you the initial reaction is, well, everybody said 7 was just a nostalgic remake of 4, which it kind of was. And then 8 was just went off into a completely different direction that people didn't see coming, and took Luke into a different persona that people didn't see coming either. And then 9 was just another they just went so heavy on the nostalgia that it just became kind of cheap a little bit. But then I also, after that 3 years, when I was like kind of upset about the storyline a little bit, I just said, this is the world that we live in, and this is where the storyline is. And now with like Mandalorian and some of the other projects they have coming out, like there's just certain things they're trying to fill in the holes on the story. And as long as you can look at it as one cohesive storyline, or try to make it cohesive, even though they did a terrible job of making it cohesive originally, then you can find a way to enjoy it, by just trying to just kind of swallow some of the content they have coming out. And then, we always like to talk about our own headcanon too, like or stuff that we think might have happened, might not have happened, and fill in our own holes along the way.
Oh, we'll definitely have some talk about that towards the end of this topic. I can tell you that for sure. And I know you had you had mentioned it briefly about your Twitter. I just have to say, I absolutely love getting to see your tweets specifically when you talk about Revenge of the Sith. What are we on now? Undeck Tuple or what's the
11 times 12 is the next one. I'm surprised I kept up with it. Yeah, we're on next time. 12. Every time someone mentions it, I have to be like, that's what I'm telling you. It's still the greatest thing that's ever.
I started watching right when you were like, I'm doubling down or I'm tripling down, and like I've watched each one, and it just makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, I'm obviously exaggerating like quite a bit, but at the end of the day, it is definitely my favorite Star Wars movie, and it's easily one of my favorite movies of all time, just because there's so much in it, and like drama, humor, suspense, there's everything, and the amount of humor that's in it, it's almost like the perfect amount of humor, because it's exactly what it should be. It's a little relief from some of the dramatic moments and the suspenseful moments, and then it gets into the really dramatic at the end. And just, I don't know, like, people didn't appreciate those performances originally when they first came out, but the more you look back on it, you're like, man, they did a hell of a job with that performance. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I mean, I still think no other Star Wars movie has done lightsaber choreography the way that one did. The series, sure, but the movies, nah.
It's funny about the choreography. A lot of people thought, especially the difference between the OT and the prequels, how they just completely ramped up the fighting, and people were like, why would you do that when you could have made it seem more realistic? Like how come they're so slow in the OT and then they're super, super fast in the prequels? And over time, kind of like I said with the sequels, they just kind of fill in the holes with the explanations, and then you can kind of make sense of why things happen the way they did. And everybody can be like, oh, anybody can do that. That's just just write anything in that you want to justify it. But that's what fantasy is, man. It's fantasy. you explain it, and then you can enjoy it afterwards.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. All right, we've kind of gotten we kind of went off the rails there for a little bit. We almost forgot what the topic of today's show. I was ready to just rant about the movies for a little bit there.
It's unscripted, man. That's what it is.
Exactly. See, someone gets it. Someone understands the true ADHD nature of the show.
I got a script right here. I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Oh, shut up, Exotic.
Yeah. I got my ADHD meds right here.
All right, so let's go ahead and begin the speaking of the topic for today. We are talking about Darth Bane in all of his splendor and glory. On last episode, we kind of talked briefly about Sith Lords, because Exotic has a boner for Darth Nihilus for some reason. But I definitely consider Darth Bane in my top 3 Sith Lords of all time. I don't know if that's the general consensus here. How do you guys feel about Darth Bane?
Go ahead.
No, you please guess first.
Okay. Nihilus is the world swallower, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know a ton about his backstory, only because I don't believe there are any novels written about him. I think we talked about that before. Just comics and stuff like that. So from what I do know about him, it's like as OP as you can get with Sith Lords, if in my opinion. And I think he held together an empire for a really long time. So there's some things to compare there.
Oh wait, hold on. You might be. I think you're talking about Vishit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Vishit is the
Vishit was okay. I guess I misspoke. Nihilus is he can definitely suck the Force from people. It's similar, but not exactly the same way in Vishit. Vishit's is like a ritual that will absorb a whole planet. I don't know does Nihilus ever do that exact same thing, Exotic? Because you know more about Nihilus than I do.
What
does he ever swallow a whole planet, or is it person to person?
He's done that. They talk about it in KOTOR 2. Some planets have just been wiped clean by him.
Okay, so he does do planets also, but the Emperor that you're talking about is Vishit. I can tell you that. I don't think Nihilus was ever leader of anything really.
Yeah, no, that's fair. KOTOR was strictly the games, right?
I think KOTOR had a comic series also.
Okay. So the comics, I didn't play the games either. I tried to play the games, and I don't know, that the gameplay wasn't there for me. So my knowledge on those Sith Lords of the Old Republic, unless there were novels written about them, is going to be kind of spotty. But back to Bane. So I wanted to compare those first because, like, if you've read the trilogy, Bane achieves a lot in a really short amount of time. And by the third book, he's in his mid 40s, I believe. And then that's when, spoiler alert, he loses to Darth Zana, or at least, that's up in the air, right? So he loses, and you just have to think, okay, well, what did he really accomplish? Because he got together a large network of people, much in the same manner that Sidious did, to try to accomplish his agenda, which was just to gain as much power as he possibly can, expand an empire of his own, and allow the Sith to exist as long as possible through his rule of two. That's what he wanted to do. So, I mean, I think if it wasn't for how their relationship was really weird too, because they were so paranoid of each other, Xana and Bane. And you could argue that Xana was worthy by because in her own right, with her own skill set, to defeat Bane, which that was an awesome fight to read. So yeah, I mean, like, if Bane, especially if he didn't get the Orbalisks, if that never happened, it's possible that he could have been much stronger at that point in time, and then perhaps continued to rule the rule of two on the Sith, and then he could have become even more legendary. So that's the weird dichotomy with him. It's like he's legendary, but he just had such a short amount of time to accomplish what he did. Like, we're talking like 20-25 years between him joining the Sith Academy and then dying. So it's pretty insane.
So I think Caparshin, however you say his name,
Karpashin?
yeah, he came out later and said that, like, undeniably Xana won. There was just a question of how much of Bane was left.
You weren't supposed to reveal that to the end. God damn it.
Look, man.
How can I bait him
it's
into an
unscripted.
argument now?
Okay, fine.
No, go
I'll tell you.
ahead.
Okay.
It's already spoiled. It's already spoiled.
Well, there's people.
This is unscripted. How can you tell me there was a script when you didn't give it to me?
There's people that argue about what George wanted for his content as well, but then they still want to sit and argue, like, even though he's like defined how things are supposed to be, like, people will come back and try to come up with their own explanations for things. So it's like, I mean, if he's the author, yes. So did he definitively say that Xana is the only one existing at the end of that fight, or did he leave it up in the air the
way that he explained it, because so remember how I told you, like, there was like an uproar among the Star Wars community after that book came out. So I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks after the book was released, like, he came out and made a definitive statement. He was like, no, Xana won. He was like, I wrote the ending ambiguously in case I, like, ever wanted to go back to, like, retouch it, or if anything was ever going to be re-added by someone else. Like, that's why he wrote it the way he did. Initially it was supposed to be ambiguous, but because all the Star Wars fans were like, Xana, Bane. And he was just like, no, it was Xana. Like, I'm just going to clear this right now. I'm sorry I did that. I made a mistake. I forgot you guys are all fucking crazy.
See, that's all I needed to hear. He left it open for his own ability to change his canon, like of that story. So, like, if he really thought he might want to change it later, that means that it's still open for interpretation. And I choose to believe that Bane, probably a lot more of him was left than we think it was.
I think that there was a portion of him left. That was like the goal of him doing that, but I don't think ever it was going to be in question that Xana, like, didn't win, or that, like, Bane was going to come back or something. I think it was more of like how much of Bane is going to haunt Xana, like, till she gets kicked out of the rule of two, essentially.
I mean, I always chalked it up to the fact, like, because in the book, they even describe how, like, Bane could see through Xana's eyes, he could hear through her ears. So I assume that, like, to some extent, she could probably feel some of what he was feeling. And if his hand was still twitching from, like, the effects of the dark side and his aging and stuff, then I chalked it up to that initially. Like, when I remember reading the book, it was, like, the book came out in 2009. I think I read it in, like, 11 or something, because I was still in high school. And, like, I just always chalked it up to, like, if he could see and sense what she was sensing, then it probably worked some degree, vice versa, right? So that I just chalked it up to that. That was my initial take, and that still is my take, honestly. I think that's why she flexes her left hand.
Oh yeah, there's something like the whole tremor thing. Like, that's such a that was such a base instinct for him. Like, so, and so then it's like, how do you view that? Does that mean that so much of him was left that she now has this like base instinct to do that? So like, or does that mean that it's just so ingrained that even though a little bit of him is left, that it just happens like, it just happens without even thinking about it. So there's just a little bit left in him that, you know, maybe thinks to do that. It's just such a weird way to look at it. I don't know how to interpret that. But I will say that given Xana's skill set, it is much more believable for her to win that fight, especially considering that that's her whole deal, like being able to psychopathically like terrorize people. And so that's definitely believable. But yeah, I guess I just want to believe that that Bane lived longer than the book suggested he did. But
well, there's like room for that now, no? Especially since like if Disney is changing Bane's story from what it was in Legends, Palpatine saying "I am all the Sith" in Episode 9. I mean, could it not be Bane?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Bro is grasping at so many straws right now.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, if Disney's gonna change what we know, it's all up in the air, no? Like, so that may be a reach.
I am all the Sith is literally what Rule of Two is about. Like, every new Sith is the next one that learned everything from the previous one. I am all the Sith is just like, I am the culmination of all the Sith until now.
Correct,
like,
but you could make it
I
both
am literally all of the Sith.
But you could make it that way. You could make it that way.
Sidious is no better than Bane in that respect, because Bane obviously was paranoid of Xana, like feeling like not only like was she not good enough to take the tradition forward, but then also like he just didn't know like how much ambition she really had, and then he was like, I don't want her to find out that I might try to take someone else on. So I'm going to do this, but if she finds out, then she might try to kill me early. And then if she does, and she hasn't gained her full potential, then she's not going to be worthy. Like he just kept having this mind, you know. Can I swear? Can I swear?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, he just kept having this mind fuck with himself, you know, about that. So yeah, so Sidious, like I said, was no better because he had Tyrannus or Count Dooku. Then eventually Anakin after that. Then it's like Luke is supposed to take Anakin's place, or Darth Vader's place. Like he wants to feel like that he's the all powerful, and someone better like really be more powerful than him if they're going to take it on. I don't think he ever really had any intention of giving up the master role, like Sidious didn't. So, and Bane could have easily gone in that direction too, because he kind of felt like he wanted to stick with that tradition. But the longer that may have gone on, he would have continued to be like, no, it's like, I'm all there can be,
And I always, one thing that I talk about in a couple of other episodes is how much I enjoy like the poeticism of Star Wars to some degree. And I think that because of the precedent that Bane set and that Xana like eventually calls him out on, is sort of like an ironic downfall for Palpatine. Because when Xana finds out about, oh God, what was the Sith Lord's name? It was something with an Adidon.
Andedu.
Andedu. Yeah. When she finds about him going after Andedu's holocron, she's like pissed off. She's like, what the fuck, man? We were just talking about this rule of two thing, and now you want to be immortal all of a sudden? And then, down 1,000 years down the line, Palpatine, who's literally trying to live forever by like force essence transfer and stuff, like it ends up being the end of that line of rule of two. Like I think that is part of like the poeticism of Palpatine's downfall, in my opinion, at least. Like that's how I saw it, because when I went back and I learned about like the essence transfer, and then how Palpatine wanted to live forever with the clones and the Dark Empire series and stuff like that, I was like, well, I mean, I feel like that's just Force karma coming after you.
Yeah, that last scene where you're talking about I am all the Sith, and then Rey is like I am all the Jedi, those just felt, I mean, I stand by. I don't want to sit here and shit on the sequels, because I do want to view everything.
We're fans of shit on the sequels.
I just feel like that's such a tired point of view to take anymore. Like I don't want to shit on them, because I just want to continue to have everything be cohesive, and if that's the story, that's the story, and then I'll keep reading whatever else comes out. But they did feel like throwaway lines. It's it just came like I am all the Sith, I am all the Jedi, and everybody's just supposed to go ooh, like that's crazy. But you stand back and look at it like those are like really cheesy lines, man. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just felt like they did a lot of that in the sequels, where they were trying to say things that they thought a casual might latch onto, but. And I'm not gatekeeping either, because I don't want to do that. But like a casual would definitely latch onto that. But like the hardcore fans would be like, what? I am all the Sith. I am all the Jedi. Like in especially with how little training she had. Now all the Jedi are gonna back her up. Like I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot wrong. You know what? And you know what? That was the only reason. So another thing that I know we're kind of off topic, but like another thing that people always shit on the sequels is like the bad lightsaber fighting. And I understand what they're saying, but I'm like, dude, what lightsaber training has she had? Like, if I was just given a laser sword, I'd probably swing it badly like that too. Like, are you joking?
Yeah, in retrospect, when you look at that lightsaber fighting, I thought it was really appropriate. Like at first, you're right. When I lost you, I'm like, yeah, they are being really slow. But then you look at Kylo Ren's style and just his choice of lightsaber. Like it's supposed to mimic a broadsword, So he's got a really slow fighting cadence, I guess you would call it. And then like Rey doesn't really have that much training. Like who even really did Luke even really lightsaber train her? It didn't seem like he really did.
It was Leia. Leia trained her.
Oh, that's
Leia
right. Yeah,
didn't even
okay.
become a full master. Like Leia didn't complete her training either. So
yeah. So when you watch it, because of that, you could argue in the old trilogy when they were slow. Well, the Republic has been dead for almost 20 years at that point. Nobody's around. There's not a Jedi Order around to teach people the old ways of lightsaber training, the Form 1 through 7. So Luke just had to kind of pick it up as he could and learn what he could from Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi when he could. So that you could justify that, and I felt like you could justify it in the sequels too. There wasn't a lot of expertise around just all available to those guys.
Yeah. What is your source material?
Also, Rey knew how to fight with a staff, right? And then she goes to a sword. Like, why didn't she just stick with a staff? It doesn't make sense.
Like a double-bladed saber?
Well, she couldn't have. It's not like she could have made one. She had no one to teach her that either.
Well, how'd she make the first one?
She didn't. It was Anakin's.
No, the spinny one.
The spinny one?
Yeah.
At the end of Rise of Skywalker.
The yellow one?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know what? Again, plot hole.
He's about to throw in you know what? Fuck you. Like
you know what? Fuck you.
No one ever taught the Luke how to make a lightsaber.
Yeah, he did.
And he who?
And Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan taught him. He communed with Obi-Wan in the deserts of Tatooine between episode 5 and 6.
Yeah, because it was like that deleted scene of him making the green lightsaber.
Oh yeah, I remember that scene. Yeah.
Yeah. So he communed with Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan had like manuals on how to do it inside of his old hut in the Dune Sea. I think it was the Dune Sea.
Mm-hmm.
So that part was explained.
Okay.
Too
But
bad
there's still-
Hu Yang
there's-
was stuck off somewhere else.
Wait, what'd you say? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Too bad Hu Yang was off stuck somewhere else.
Well, actually, is he? Yeah, he has to be alive during then. He has to. Maybe he wasn't activated. Maybe he was dormant somewhere, and then Ahsoka found him.
Wait, no, but no, he would have been alive. He would have been chilling.
Yeah,
Not
but where?
chilling. I don't know.
Yeah, because the Mandalorian and Ahsoka are 5 years after, right? So he
Yeah,
would
he
have
may-
been somewhere.
I have
didn't
a
he
theory
show
that
up
he
in
was
Rebels?
dormant.
He was in
He-
Rebels, wasn't he?
Was he?
I
I
don't
don't think so.
remember seeing him in Rebels.
Yeah, I don't remember that either.
No,
am
didn't Ahsoka take him after Order 66? I thought she said that. Like after that all went down, I thought she then said that she recovered him and then activated him after that.
This is why we have a robot. Brick 3PO, fact check. That's what we have him for. That's what he's here for. But just going back to some of the Bane stuff. So what were your thoughts on like the Orbalisks? Because there's not many times in the Star Wars Legends timeline where we see creatures that are involved with the Force at all. Like I really love the aspect of them feeding on dark side energies and giving like an increased like strength and defense. And the only other Force, I don't know, affected creatures that we find in the Legends timeline are these creatures called Ysilamiri, which I don't know if you've run into them yet, but they pop up later in the Legends timeline post episode 6. And basically they are creatures that kind of create a bubble around them. I believe it's 3 meters where like the Force just does not exist. If you surround a Jedi with Ysilamiri, they can't use the Force. And so the only other creatures that I know that have some influence or effect on the Force or like use on the Force are those Orbalisks. So what did you think about them when you read about them?
Yeah, don't forget about the Bendu. There's the Bendu.
Well, Bendu's not in Legend though. That's
Well,
canon
no,
only.
no, no. I'm just talking about force sensitive creatures, though. Like he's another one, but I'm so tempted to spoil High Republic right now, but I'm not going to do it. um, yeah, I don't like when I heard them. Yeah, it was just another cool, interesting, thing that they could create for the purpose of making Bane stronger and just some more Sith lore that you can kind of get into, and you don't ever see them pop up anywhere else, obviously, because I guess they only exist within his trilogy, so why would they? But it was really interesting, and also like it's also not the first time we've heard of like a Sith Lord undergoing some torture, in order to draw upon the dark side more strongly. You got Darth Vader. He basically did it for 10, 12 years, and not on his own doing, but still, like he was surrounded by a suit. It was constantly causing him pain, which presumably made him stronger with the Force when by drawing on that anger and pain that he was suffering. So, but yeah, it was an interesting thing. I was also like, I couldn't remember when I read it for the second time how he got rid of him, but then when I read it, I was like, yeah, the whole lore of that creature was interesting, but really gross, man. When he gets to the end of that.
If you use that argument about like if you were like, oh yeah, Sidious put Darth Vader in the pain suit because he was actually Darth Bane and he just wanted Anakin to suffer like he did, I would believe it.
There you go.
That would be a very convincing argument for me.
See, that's awesome. I love thinking like that, man. Like, and when you think about, you could kind of do that with a lot of characters if you wanted to, like take that logic elsewhere. But yeah, I like that. I like the sound of that.
Palpatine was just an evil bitch, an evil gay bitch, but an evil bitch.
Yeah. So then you think, okay, so Palpatine created it so that way, obviously, to hinder him in his own way. And he was been susceptible to the lightning, so it was just a way to control him. But then he also knew that it was a way to make him stronger against their enemies and against the remaining of the Jedi. So there was some dual purpose, some different purposes there for it. And maybe he was like, okay, so if Bane didn't exist at this time, maybe Sidious knew that lore, which it's totally possible he did. Sidious was definitely a student of the Sith legends. So maybe he took that lore and said, okay, well, here's a way that I can make Vader stronger since he's weakened at this point, That would be really interesting.
Right? So,
he did. And it's I don't know. Well, so Xana would have came in possession of it after that, I assume.
Wait, didn't the dude take it?
Yeah, it got
stolen.
stolen.
Yeah. The Dark Jedi.
But she gave it back. The assassin lady gave it back.
Oh, Cognis had it?
Yeah, Cognis.
I thought the Dark Jedi had it.
No, he got Ndedu's holocron.
Oh.
Yeah, he took Ndedu's holocron and he was trying to learn from it. And then he was going to sit and do it while Bane just like inserted himself into the holocron and stole the data. So, but yeah, he got his. Yeah, so then Bane's holocron. Yeah, she did give it back to him.
Yeah, when she met him at the spaceport, she gave him the lightsaber and the holocron back.
Yep, I remember that. So after that, I don't know what happened to it though.
The world may never know.
Yeah, and if she kept it, like if Xana then came upon it and kept it, and then she would have stored it away, then yeah, just through different hands, Sidious would have found a way to get it. They kind of call out to people. That's kind of the way you look at it.
Yeah, and Sidious also had a thing of like, he kind of had a monopoly on all things artifacts, whether they were like Jedi or Sith. I think he was destroying most of the Jedi stuff, but he was a Force artifact hoarder for sure.
he was a student of the dark side and of the Sith legend and yeah, of all things about the Force. Like I really believed when he was talking to Anakin and he said, well, if one wants to understand the mysteries of the Force, they can't just accept the dogmatic view of the Jedi. Like I believe that he really wants to understand every single thing there is to know about the Force. Like I believe he's that kind of a student of the Force, like not just the Sith Lords. So yeah, I would agree. He probably went all over to search for things like that, and maybe even under Plagueis would have came upon a lot of those artifacts too.
And and that holds true with one of my like beliefs and tenets when it comes to Force users, is that like the strongest Force users, in my opinion, have always been those who have been versed in both the light and the dark side. The best example that I can provide being like Revan. Revan was just so unholily strong in the Force after he is like one of the greatest Jedi Knights to have ever lived, then goes off to be a great Sith Lord trying to take over the galaxy, then comes back to the light side facing Vision. You know, he delivers my favorite line of the entire Star Wars Legends timeline, which is, "I am Revan Reborn, and before me you are nothing." And I'm just like, oh, yes. I've never creamed my pants reading a book until then, but it was great.
That's
Really?
powerful.
You have not read enough smut.
I have read no smut, and I will keep it that way, okay? I am a good Christian child. This is my good Christian podcast. Please leave smut out of here.
And fuck
as
you.
We talk about, yeah, and fuck you. As we've talked about Vader being a pocket pussy and all of the like.
Yeah, that's also an interesting thing to look into, like about balance and like
oh God, I thought you were talking about pocket pussies for a second. I'm sorry.
No, not pocket pussies. About balance, and if someone can truly be so balanced to where they can control the light and the dark sides of the Force. Because some people, like, well, I think George intended the dark side to be like a cancer, and then balance in the Force was destroying the cancer, was destroying the dark side, and having the only light side. And then other people say, well, no, balance is having light and dark coexist together. I don't know what that answer is. I think I like the idea of it being light and dark existing together. I like that definition of balance better. Obviously, there's more depth to it if you do that. If you just do light side, it's like, that's boring. Then the Jedi are supposed to win every time. Like, F that. You know.
Well, yeah,
I prefer that cool kid answer.
And you know, as you dive into the Legends timeline, specifically when you get post New Jedi Order, you'll see Luke even kind of comes to the realization that there has to be a balance. There has to be something, you know, like you have to understand the dark to know how to avoid it and to know how to keep it, you know, in check, under control, and that kind of thing. Because it's something that, you know, throughout the New Jedi Order they struggle with, because he tries to, you know, he's like, you know, you have to use these emotions, but you can't fall prey to them. And I think that as someone, you know, like as I was mentioning, Revan falling to the dark side and coming back, Luke falling to the dark side and coming back, Kip Durin getting possessed by Exar Kun, falling to the dark side and coming back. They're all just inordinately strong Force users. And I think that we find out, especially in Legends, I don't know if Disney delves into it at all, but having experience.
Anakin does it in Ahsoka.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as his place at, you know, like, you know, becoming the father, you know, he does it too. So yeah, so like we see multiple times in both timelines, in fact, thank you for pointing that out, because I had forgotten about that. In both timelines, we're like, yeah, that not some mastery in both is necessary. I mean, you can even kind of see that in Mace Windu with his use of Vapid, and, you know, knowing that it is channeling his emotions and the dark side into his lightsaber form, so that he doesn't have to worry about himself succumbing to that. And I think that is a really cool, you know, thing about the Force. And another thing, Luke, when he goes on his pilgrimage, and Jacen Solo, one of the twins that Han and Leia have, they also go through the kind of like a pilgrimage where they meet different Force users, such as like the Witches of Dathomir, the Fallen Nasi, you know, all of people who have different views of the Force. They all call it different things, whether it's like the white current or the energy source, whatever it may be called. You know, they're all saying like, it's not this just black and white type of thing. It's a rainbow. It's a spectrum. It's something that has to be, all facets have to be explored. And I think that, personally speaking, from that aspect, like, again, those who understand this and can find the balance between both sides are just inordinately and innately stronger.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I hope that that's what they continue to do, because like I said, I think George's vision was that the dark side was supposed to be eradicated, but I think Disney is kind of trying to redefine that balance. And I'm not going to spoil it, but when you get into the new books, you'll see that what I'm talking about, that they are trying to make sure that that balance means that light and dark exist together. And, you know, they could even bring in Dawn of the Jedi into canon. Now that takes place so far into the past, into Star Wars past, that it almost doesn't make sense to even go into that story, because it just wouldn't relate to anything. But it would still be fun to watch if they did it.
Oh, absolutely.
'Cause
I was so sad about because okay, so I was really excited for Dawn of the Jedi because the comic series was coming out like right as Disney was acquiring Star Wars in like 2014, but then they canceled the coming comics that were going to further go into the story of the Dawn of the Jedi, and I was so sad because I was so excited about. Man, when I heard about force imbued swords, I was like, for real?
yeah, that doesn't surprise me. They probably wanted to control that narrative or that story, and that's also why they labeled everything Legends, so they could have control over, what content they wanted to bring in, what content they wanted to create, and just what was the most moneymaker for them. They could continue to do this for decades, even over a century, I'm sure. If they have so much material there, and there's so many different ways you can go that like George I don't think he gets enough credit for how much of a genius it is. And I think $4 billion, I think he got he got shafted with that much.
Yeah.
That thing's worth like 20-30 billion dollars, at least.
Easy.
So because Disney is making all of that money back right now. So
I thought one of the like upcoming projects, I don't know if it was canceled or not, but I thought one of them was gonna dive into the origins of the Jedi.
like a new series.
Yeah, or a movie, one of the two. Yeah.
I can't think of it, and nothing comes to mind right now.
Nothing comes to mind for me either.
I just know like the most like recent one that's probably going to come out is Acolyte, that delves into like anything backstory wise on Force users.
Acolyte's supposed to be 100 years BBY, I think, or 100 years before the prequels. One of the two. They might talk about it in that series. I am excited for that series because I'm excited to see where it ties into the High Republic.
I'm just excited for it because there's going to be a Wookiee Jedi.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi movie.
Oh.
What year is that?
So it's after supposedly Ahsoka season 2 and whatever Taika had or has in development.
I'm so excited about Taika Waititi getting to do anything Star Wars. He's one of my favorite directors of all time.
What did you think about Love and Thunder?
It's my favorite Thor movie.
That's your favorite one?
Yeah.
Okay. And Winchie?
I prefer Ragnarok.
Okay.
Oh, actually, you know what? I think that's the one I'm thinking of is Ragnarok.
Oh, okay.
Because Ragnarok's the more funny one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that has it. That Ragnarok is the one with Chubby Thor.
No, that's
No, that's the last Avengers movie.
Wait, hold on. I'm getting my shit kind of blended together. No. Ragnarok is the one where
fighting his sister.
Yeah, it's the opening scene where he's like in the chain and he's like spinning around. Yeah. Yes, okay. I like that one.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So that's Ragnarok. Yeah. So because I thought Love and Thunder was the less serious movie that like it got less serious when Love and Thunder came out. And not that stuff has to be serious, but it does kind of like, I don't know. Like for me, it engages me more because then there's like more on the line when it's more serious, and then I'm just more like thrilled to watch it. Where then when it gets less serious, I'm like, who cares what happens, And then it's funny and that's good. It's not like I'm not entertained, but from a content and storyline aspect, I like it when it's more serious. So I bring that up because of his future project with Star Wars. And not that Disney didn't really kind of do the same thing at certain points with the sequel trilogy, but I worry that the suspenseful theme that we see in some of the TV shows and the movies will just, I don't know, will turn a different direction with his movie. And like it's just something else. It's fine. Like I'll probably still enjoy it, but if it was something like that, but I don't know. I enjoy it being more serious because then there's like I said, there's more on the line, and it's like I get drawn in way harder.
You know what? I would be absolutely okay with like a comedic relief-esque Star Wars movie. I'm not gonna lie. Because I fell in love with the Lego Star Wars like Skywalker series, and I love the like comedic twist that it puts on Star Wars because I had never experienced comedy plus Star Wars really. The prequels kind of tried to do it with Jar Jar, and it wasn't really working for me as a kid. It still doesn't really work for me now. I just think he's kind of goofy. But like, I would love to see something truly like Star Wars comedic. I feel like that would be
I never saw Lego Star Wars either, so I didn't watch that. But is it good? Oh, isn't there? I thought there was a Lego Star Wars movie though, wasn't there?
Was there?
Like an animated movie, I thought.
Oh, there's not an animated movie, but there's a series.
Oh no, I'm just thinking of the Lego movie. Never mind, my bad.
No, there is a Lego Star Wars series though, like an animated series.
Okay,
I gotcha. I wouldn't say it's a series.
Okay.
Well, it's short.
Yeah, I never watched that either.
What? I'm not short.
Shorter than me.
Okay, you're tall.
Thank you.
But I'm also shut up. Fuck you. We have
But
gotten so off track, but
yeah, I
I
can't
have
remember what I
enjoyed
was
this
saying. Yeah.
conversation. No, keep going, please.
No, I yeah, man, I can't. No, you continue. I can't remember what I was saying.
It do
We
be like
barely
that
even like
sometimes.
dived into Bane at all.
Yeah.
Hey, he maybe is alive, and we were like Orbalisk, and then we were like, all right, tangent.
Hey, look, it's the Force Unscripted for a reason. You already said it, so.
I was about to say, well, this podcast is really good for going on tangents.
We got to keep it exciting somehow, and we got to let our ADHD minds run crazy. So, back to Bane. Truly, though, have you seen anything in canon about Bane so far in your book reading, or have they released anything about Bane in the canon?
There was one Clone Wars episode where Bane existed, and that was just when Yoda communed with his spirit. I can't remember what that conversation was. I know that Yoda definitively said, "You are the creator of the rule of two," or he said Bane, creator of the rule of two. That's how he addressed him. So his character and the fact that he's the creator of the rule of two are both canon.
And that's it.
But that's it. That's the only thing. I think that's the only thing that exists, unless you guys remember anything else. But
He looked whack in Clone Wars too.
yeah, it was not at all what I imagined him. Like,
Oh yeah, because
I
he
don't
had
know.
like the weird helmet thing.
Yeah, like Shredder. He looked like Shredder to me. Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah. Oh, I just looked up his picture and I immediately knew exactly. I was like Shredder. Oh, I was like, oh, okay, Shredder. Yeah.
yeah. But because I imagined him being like, well, and this is kind of what his picture looks like too. When you look at pictures of him online, like I thought if there was going to be a Bane movie or a series, that what was the guy's name that played Thor or not Thor, Thanos, Josh
Brolin?
Yes,
Yep.
yeah.
I thought he would be a great actor to be Bane. If he was, I mean, he's getting older, but if he was younger, he would have been. I just like the way he talks, and I think that's how I imagine Bane talking, like just very matter of factly, no nonsense, driven with an agenda. Like that just sounded like Bane to me. So I thought he'd be a great actor for Bane.
You know who I think he would actually be like better portray than Bane? Candaris Ordo.
Who is that?
Looks Candaris Ordo was have you read the Revan book yet?
It's been a little while, but yeah.
Yeah, Candaris Ordo was the one that killed his wife to like help Revan find the mask of his people.
Oh,
I just
okay.
posted a picture in the chat comparing the two.
Oh, you did?
Oh, wow. Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
wow. Yeah. See, I think he would do better as because Candaris, you get to play with Candaris Ordo in the KOTOR game, and I was just thinking about Josh Brolin. I was like, he would make a really good Candaris.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
I want you to know I searched Josh Brolin, Darth Bane, and I got Josh Brolin, Candaris Ordo.
Oh, okay. So
So somebody heard this discussion and decided to prep my
Yeah.
my history.
Oh yeah, here you go. Yeah.
But
yeah,
no, he would make a pretty good Bane too.
I
Bane?
can see it if he shaved his head. I can see it right now. I just like put like the eye makeup on and shave his head. Yeah, I see it.
So like when I was reading the Bane books and I kept like I would like read about Bane and then I would like close the book and look at the cover, and I don't know, my mental image reading about Bane never matched what was on the cover. Like I could never see that.
Okay.
He doesn't look like that in my head at all.
Yeah, like me either. Like the cover, like the artist who did the cover art, I'm not saying it's bad art. It just wasn't what I was seeing in my head.
The Rule of Two art was way
Yes.
different than the first and third book. Like the first and third book were very consistent, and the Rule of Two, he just like I don't know what happened there, but he just like turned into something else.
Rule of Two was done with Photoshop, but that's closer to my head canon than the others.
Oh, really? Okay. I like when I had to like go with the first book because when I saw his picture in the first book, that's just what stuck in my head, and then that's all I could envision him as after that. So then when I read Rule of Two, I thought it looked really weird, and then I read Dynasty of Evil. Then that looked more like what I thought envisioned him as. So
I kind of attributed the like horrible disfigurement in the second cover to the Orbalisks.
Yeah. Well, and I guess you can kind of see him. I'd have to pull the book cover just to see it, but I let me see if I can find a.
I don't know. On the second cover, he reminds me of Nosferatu. That's the only thing I could think of.
Say it again. Reminds you of what?
Nosferatu, the vampire, like from the 30s.
Oh man, that's not ringing a bell for me.
I posted a gif of Nosferatu from the SpongeBob episode. They always make fun of him. but he reminds me of Nosferatu.
Okay, yeah, I'm not familiar, but I think I can imagine the old Dracula and vampire movies and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm looking at the cover right now, and yeah, you can't really see maybe you can't see the obelisks because maybe he's got like armor on over it, or maybe that's just what they look like on his chest there. You know, the book makes it sound like they're literally engulfed his body with the exception of his hands and his face.
No,
And
yeah,
his,
what
and
you're
his head.
seeing on the chest bit there, that is the obelisks. If
That
you
is
look
it.
at like their like Wikipedia page, they have that like that gem thing at the front of their heads. So there's like 4 of them on his chest, like all facing inward.
Right. Okay. I got you. So that must be like probably early on in his wearing the obelisks, because later on it made it sound like except for his head and hands, like they were just everywhere. So they would have been like on his wrists and on his legs and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
The thing on his head, that's the mask that he wears so that they don't take over his face, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And then yeah, you can see him on his arms. Yep. So that's what I imagined right there. But man, that they also don't look anything here like I envisioned. That's what I thought also looked weird. I didn't envision them looking like that at all.
Yeah, neither did I.
What came to mind was in the Mummy, the little insects in the Mummy that explode.
Oh, don't remind me of those. Those give me the creepy crawlies.
That's what I imagined them looking like, even though I know they're not that size. They're way bigger. But I imagine them kind of looking like that, but bigger, like just these black ovals that are on the skin like that. So, yeah, that's really interesting.
Another thing from the book that I wanted to talk about too, that I thought was really cool, was literally the Force Mind nuke. What was it called? The thought bomb.
Thought bomb. Yeah, the thought bomb.
I want a different type of thought bomb that involves me going out clubbing, but that thought bomb was also pretty cool.
I imagine. Well, I'm just trying to think like, when could they have ever employed that successfully without people succumbing to it?
Oh, never. Absolutely never.
Yeah,
that's the red button you don't press, and guess what? It got pressed.
Yeah. Well, so you know why Bane told him to do it, but why would those Sith Lords think they could do it and nothing would happen? Like
they didn't know what it was. Yeah, they didn't know what it was. They were because he like figured that out from like holocron stuff, right? Or like wherever he
he passed it on as like a barter, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was like, yo, check out this, like, I killed Kasim, check out this cool magic stuff that I learned. You should try it on the Jedi. It'll totally kill them all, wink wink.
And it did.
I'm just imagining the note being written exactly like that. It'd just be funny.
If it was Lego Star Wars, it would be.
Yeah, right. Yeah, totally.
But what I loved most about it was like the ghost orb that was left at like ground zero, and like the different people who interact with it and can like hear the screams, feel like the residual death. I thought that was probably one of the most metal scenes I had ever read in Star Wars, was just the residual death of the ghost orb. Yeah,
it's just this like glitch in the Matrix that just hangs out there, and it will always be there. That's kind of what you felt, you know, and so anybody who came near it. So then I would be interested to know, like, if that's employed at any other time, or even if someone were to discover that one on now I forget the planet they were on, but if they were to discover that one, like, could anybody interact with it in any different way that involves the Force, and what else could be made of, or could those souls be brought back in some way? How weird would that be, right? Because when people interact with it, they can still like sense the people that are inside of it, the Jedi and the Sith that succumb to it. So it'd be weird if they somehow could be brought back through the Force. But
I bet you could like holocronize them or like put them in a droid, but I don't think you'd be able to recreate, or like you could maybe put them in clones, like, you know, Palps does.
Like an essence transfer type of thing?
Yeah, you could probably do an essence transfer on them if you were able to like handle that kind of power for long enough to pull it off. But I don't think you'd be able to bring them back without something to put them in.
Well, I don't think you could put them in anything either, because if I remember correctly, the thought bomb destroys like both corporeal and non-corporeal aspects of the people. I think that
I thought it destroyed the corporeal and trapped the non-corporeal.
I think it destroys both, and it just leaves the emotions.
That sounds more accurate. Prison. The leaving the emotions thing sounds more accurate, because you like when the one guy touches it, like all he feels is like their anguish and their pain, like trying to escape the orb or within the orb and stuff like that. So yeah.
Oh, wait. So more than okay, so Kyle Katarn opened the bomb.
That one?
Yeah, says I'm looking at Wikipedia, but it says more than 1,000 years later, the spirits of the vanquished Jedi were set free. So it was a prison by young rebel agent and Jedi Knight named Kyle Katarn.
Oh,
What?
I did not know that.
So
I know he
fuck you,
said.
Nikita. Get
I know
wrecked.
he's okay, but like it's kind of both, right? Because it also says literally when detonated, a thought bomb annihilated the entirety, corporeal and non-corporeal, of every force-sensitive being caught within its blast radius. But then it also says and absorbed their fragmented souls into a swirling vortex of perpetual torment. So it's both.
I guess it is. So fuck
So
me
I guess
too.
so. Fuck us both.
Yeah, I just googled it like to see if like the Kyle Katarn opening it up, and it says like in the events that take place in the Dark Forces series of novellas, they only seem to refer to the Force nexus that was created as a later result of the weapons used. So they are talking about the orb that's left there.
So damn, it's just that orb just sat there for 1,000 years, huh?
I think you were led to believe that that's what it would do. Like it would just sit there until, until whatever. I don't know what could happen to make it disappear. Like it wouldn't wither away or anything like that.
I guess I had just assumed that maybe some Sith along the line in the Rule of Two had come back because Zana knew about it, so I assumed that Zana probably told Cognis something about it, and then maybe like somewhere down the line someone was like, "Oh hey, there's a thought bomb prison on this planet. What was it, Rusan? There's a
I just posted a picture of it.
Oh, there's a picture of it. Ooh.
Yeah.
It's an egg. It's a thought egg.
That's what I imagined it looking like. Is like a silvery egg sitting in the middle of the cave.
That's so creepy. It's got a little sperm flying around it too.
Right? That's kind of what it looks like. I know. That's crazy, right? Oh, Rusan. Yeah, they're on Rusan. That's what it was. Okay. Kyle Katarn, one of my students, unfolded the thought bomb's vortex at Rusan and freed the spirits that had been trapped inside for more than 1,000 years. That was Luke said that. So this is corroborated by a note written by Luke in Book of. Oh, that was in the Book of Sith. I have the Jedi one, the Jedi Path. I have that one, but I don't have the Book of Sith.
I also have the Jedi Path and not the Book of Sith. Huh.
Yeah.
The more I've learned so much today.
So then if he released them, to Wenchi's point, where did he release them to?
So in the game's alternate, the non-canon dark side storyline, he absorbs the power and assumes the throne of Galactic Emperor.
Katarn does.
Yes.
What?
I've never heard his name said as Katarn before, so
Oh,
every time
I
you say it.
yeah.
No, it's okay. Like okay, so one thing that I am universally okay with is people saying Star Wars names wrong because everyone calls it their own thing and there's no like guide to be like, this is how you pronounce this thing, this is how you pronounce this name, you know. So I never judge anyone for how they've seen it. I've just never heard it said Katarn before.
until I heard you say Revan, I always said Revan. And then I heard you say it, and then someone else told me that that's how it was said. Well, where do they officially pronounce it? Well, I don't remember if they.
I think don't they say Revan and KOTOR exotic?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, that's why I wouldn't have heard it then because I didn't play the games.
Yeah, but for some of these other characters, wait, what I guess they say Kyle's in the game too, though.
Yeah, they say Kyle
but
Katarn.
but you've never played the game, so you wouldn't know. That's I'm not judging you, I promise. Because I know I'd be saying some fucking names wrong.
So Jedi Knight and Jedi Knight 2 I played, but did they say Katarn in those games? Because it's been so long since I even played them.
See, I haven't played those, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I know they say it in Outcasts, and I know they say it in Jedi Knights Academy.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it's been a while for those games too, but so if you played Jedi Knight 2, that was Jedi Outcast, wasn't it? Dark Forces Jedi Knight, the first Jedi Knight, Dark Forces Jedi Knight, like Kyle Katarn's character does not feel like it would assume any kind of role as a Galactic Emperor. He is such a like Han Solo scoundrel type character in that game. Like, and obviously people can evolve. Like, you know, Luke evolved from a whiny little kid on a moisture farm.
Say it, whiny little bitch. I know you want to say it.
Yeah, I was about to say you could say it.
Whiny little bitch on a moisture farm to like a serious like Jedi Knight in Episode 6. So it could happen, but it just sounds weird. That sounds weird to me, envisioning him that way. But wow, we learned a lot today. Huh?
Yeah, we did.
But we started off with like greatest of all time, you know. So I think he did have the greatest potential of all time. I will say that, because he was driven enough and naturally strong enough with the dark side of the Force, and just the fact that he was driven enough with all the stuff that he learned and all this, he wanted to go to any place he could go to learn as much as possible about the dark side and Sith legends and everything that had come before him, so that he could just be an all-encompassing knowledge of the dark side and be as strong and knowledgeable as possible. So I think he had definitely the best potential of all time. Now, you know, we already touched on Sidious being a student of the dark side too. So, but he's more of a politician. So in terms of like strength, I'd give it to Bane.
Over Palpatine?
In terms of potential,
Hmm.
but Palpatine's like manipulative abilities and his knowledge, like that put together, definitely has an edge over Bane. But I think Bane had the potential to be stronger than Palpatine. Yeah. But we'll never know, because he only
That's true.
mastered the dark side for
I
25
guess
years.
I've never thought of it. Like, I never thought about Bane's potential. Like, the only potential of a person I've ever thought about was Anakin Skywalker, because, you know, like the chosen one. But I've never actually thought about Bane's potential. And you know what? You are right, because like for such a short amount of time, and like he wasn't even trained from like birth, and he
Right.
grew so strong so fast. So you know what? I might actually have to give that one to you. Like, I think
The
you
only-
might be right.
The only thing he really had to do in the first book was master his own demons, like his own, like his shortcoming with his insecurities, you know, about like his abuse from his father and stuff like that. He just felt like he thought he had what it took, but then he didn't know how to fully connect. And then once he figured it out, it was like the strongest connection. Like that's how they described it. Like he's just this like overwhelming, like he could draw upon it at any time at that point. So yeah, I thought that's all I could think about after the third book, to be honest with you, was like, man, what else could he have done if he survived this? And what else could he have done if he never discovered the Orbalisks, or at least took on the Orbalisks? If that never happened, like his body would have disfigured. They aged him so much by the mid 40s that he was basically like mid 60s because of what they did to him, you know? So, but he was still like then if you look at the beginning of the book, Dynasty of Evil, like they say he went out into the rain and then he's like lightsaber practicing, and he can fend off every rain droplet and not get wet in the rain for like, what was it, like a half an hour? He was wielding the lightsaber to fend off every rain droplet. Like, come on, man, that's some really OP type shit right there. So when I read that and then realized, man, if he didn't have Orbalisks, this guy would have been crazy strong. And if he survived Xana, and you know, obviously he picked a good apprentice, because Xana was also extremely strong, manipulative, knowledgeable, and could use her talents like to the highest potential that she could, you know. So
Oh, you know what?
yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned Xana, because one thing that I do want to talk about before we close out this episode is how fucked up some of his training for Xana was. Like, I forget what the name of the fucking creature was, but she like befriended it for a month, and then he was like, yeah, go fucking kill it. I was like, for real? And then she had to murder her like best friend.
In the book?
Yeah. I think it was she had to, so part of her training was she had to befriend, so she had to go find an animal and lure it in and then kill it. And then she had to go find the same animal, like, and befriend it for like a month and then kill it.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. I don't remember the animal, but that story sounds familiar, because those were in flashbacks in the second book, right?
Yeah, I think it was the second book.
Yeah, those would have been flashbacks, because I don't think they actually in real time talk about like her.
No,
doing
but it
that.
was so fucked up. Like, imagine getting a
Yeah.
puppy, getting so close to this puppy, and then your dad's like, okay, take it out to the backyard. Here's my shotgun.
Here's another mindfuck. Like, how different is that from the Jedi saying we like you can't have any attachments? Like, he's basically telling her like, okay, you know, for your own personal, like, as a tool, use this animal to what you need it to do, and then get rid of it. Not saying the Jedi would do the same thing, but he's basically telling her like, you can't be attached to anything. You have to use what you need to use to get what you need, and then it's gone. You know, so.
I think it's fucked up regardless of what kind of glasses you look at it through, but I'm gonna go with the Sith. The Sith take the cake on this one. The Sith get that dub. That was really fucked up.
Yeah, it's definitely messed up.
It's the Kingsman experience right there.
Yes, yeah, fuck. Oh, don't remind me of the Kingsman either. Oh. Hey, at least Eggsy walked out with that dog. I was so proud of him.
Yeah, but then never mind.
Then the second movie. Yeah, okay. You don't have to
Yeah.
remind me. Fuck.
Oh man.
All right, well, that has been today's episode. I know it was supposed to be mostly focused on Bane, but we kind of derailed that train real early and kept derailing it. But it was fun. It was a great conversation. Rampage, you were an absolutely amazing first guest for our show, and I couldn't have think of another best first guest that we could have had. Thank you so much for being on the show. Would you like to tell our fans where they can find you and your content?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, man. And I really appreciate being here. Thanks for having me on. And you guys are awesome to talk to. And you guys obviously have way more Legends knowledge than I've been able to acquire. But like, I want to get to the end and then just like I want to get all the knowledge, just like Bane, and just and be able to wield it all. So you guys, anybody can find me on Twitter at Rampage Tweets, and it's at Rampage TWEETZ, not S. So and then and you can find me on YouTube, Rampage Reviews. I don't know if the tag is youtube.com/Rampage Reviews. I think there's like some string of numbers, but if you search for Rampage Reviews, you should be able to find me. And I've got some weird first videos because that was like my phase of not wanting to spoil the books. But then after like when I started coming back and doing it, because that was like 3 years ago, me doing it. And lately, when I've been doing it, I just said, "Fuck it, I'm just going to talk about the book. I don't care if I spoil it." Like I just want to talk about it. So, so if you do watch the videos, just be prepared. They're spoiled, but I do have my upcoming reads in the description on the video, so that my next 3 books I always have listed in the description in case people want to get into it before they watch my videos. That we can start that conversation. So, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we will be sure to include a link to his Twitter and to his YouTube in the channel description. So be sure to check it out to make sure you can follow him for some really awesome book reviews and some pretty cool Diablo gameplay. Honestly, that's what I'd be watching when you talk. It's really awesome to see the playthroughs that he includes with his reviews. But yeah, make sure you give him a follow. He's been absolutely interacting with this guy on Twitter, and just getting to finally talk to him on our podcast has been an absolute blast, if I mentioned it. But that is our show for today. Everyone, be sure to tune in on Tuesdays for our regularly released Force Facts, where you can get your weekly Force Fact from us here at the Force Unscripted. So make sure you are following us to stay up to date with all of the Force Unscripted content. Follow us on Twitter at Force Unscripted, and search the Force Unscripted on anywhere you watch or listen to, rather, for your podcast. It's just simply the Force Unscripted. But until next time, peace out, Girl Scouts. May the Force be with you, and we will catch you on the next one.